Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. How are you, sir?
I am doing utterly fantastic. It's good to see you.
It's good to
You
see you.
you got the energy of an 8-year old.
I uh I tell people that at least as of today,
Uh-huh.
aging has seemed somewhat irrelevant to me. I just do anything I want to do and don't give much thought to what I can't do, even though I'm not the man I used to be in some respects, I guess. I can still get out and walk all day
Uh-huh.
I stay real active.
That's a good attitude there, Charles. That's a good attitude. No, I'm perplexed today that I get to talk to you because I've been down a rabbit hole. I finished a book last night, by the way. No, actually this morning. I finished the last hour this morning.
Okay.
And it was very revealing. It was some great wisdom. It's interesting of like wisdom is my highest value. I would
Uh-huh.
consider myself on pursuit of my own wisdom. But then I was getting so much good gems out of your book. It was amazing. So
Well, I hope
I'm just
so.
happy to get to meet you today. Just have a conversation.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yes. And this is what my system gave me. It says Vietnam veteran Marine Sergeant, 1965 to 1969, BA in Greek, classic Greek and Hebrew,
Yes, sir.
three-time number one international best-selling author, ponder on it, Pilgrims, sold in 26 countries. Is that true?
It's 27 countries now.
27 now. Build 27,000 LinkedIn following from your rocking chair reflection. I love that. I love that phrase, by the way. The four golden question philosophy, and I wrote those down, and we're gonna talk about those as well.
Oh,
And a
yes.
Houston, Texas cowboy philosopher. But last but not least, it says, your driving message, you young people are not growing up in the same world I did. I want to encourage them to have hope.
Sure, sure. I
So we're
tell
gonna
you,
start with that one.
pardon?
We're gonna start with that one. The young people that are not growing up.
Yeah. I tell young people that I'm someone who has come back from their future. And if they'll listen to me, I won't try to force my will on them or anything on them, but if you'll listen to me, I can tell you the best way to cross that river up ahead. Uh,
Mhm.
because when I came to it, I didn't know how, and I almost drowned. And so, and just try to in a in an amusing way uh, tell people that there's something to be said for just having lived life. There's
Mhm.
lessons to be learned that seem to only come by living.
Mhm.
And I realized that as an older man, and it was all just a part of the transition that took place in me as I got older, and all sorts of things started happening. I'd never even dreamed of writing a book before, uh,
Mhm.
but that's all a part of my story. I guess we'll get into that when we actually get on to uh, go live. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's been quite a journey.
Yes, and I'm impressed. I, I find myself respecting people that are expert at history, at least their own history. And when I was listening to you talk about your forebears and understanding their history and reporting that back to your grandkids, I was like, ah man, I gotta get into that business too of documenting the history and sharing it with the younger
Yeah,
generation. And you've been doing that, so that's very
yeah. It
inspiring.
it uh, it it keeps you. It touches you and brings you into the world of your past,
Hmm.
and that there were real people that lived back there that are directly linked, related to me,
Hmm.
grandpas and grandmas that uh, just some of the things that I learned. I had on both on the Civil War or the American Revolution. I had
Hmm.
uh, grandfathers from both sides. My mom and dad's family fought in
Hmm.
the Revolutionary War,
Hmm.
and I had grandfathers from both sides of the family fought in the Civil War.
Mm,
And the Daytons, my mom's side of the family, fought for the Union. And the Hams, my daddy's side of the family, and the Ham side fought for the Confederacy. And both of them fought in the Battle of Atlanta
mm,
and actually met each other on the field of battle. And they grew up about 10 miles from where each other lived, each other lived. And there was that close connection. And I've never been able to establish whether they actually knew each other or not. But Grandpa Ham was captured by the North in the Battle of Cynthiana, Kentucky,
mhm,
and was taken to a prisoner of war camp up in Illinois and stayed in this horrible prison camp for the remainder of the war for a couple of years. And the prisoner of war camps on both sides, the North and the South, were just horrible. The prisoners were treated terribly by both, and it became quite a story. It really did. And I've my daddy was born and raised in the house that Grandpa Alexander built, and the
mm,
old fruit cellar that he built back in those days is still standing on the property up there. And you can actually go open the door and go into this root cellar, and it's made of stone. And Grandpa Alexander was the one that built that. So my
mm,
roots go, I'm a Texan to the bone. I tell people I'm proud to say that my roots go back to Kentucky. And
mm,
uh, they actually, Daniel Boone had a farm. When he left Boonesboro, he moved down into Ellisville and Carlisle, Kentucky area. And the Hams only lived about a horseback ride, maybe a couple of hours from where Daniel Boone lived. And so, they knew each other and were friends. And so, yeah, finding my history was a real journey. I've really enjoyed that. My son got into it too. And so it was something we could do together. And I would recommend that anybody get in touch with their ancestry.
mm.
You'll really enjoy the things that you'll learn.
I am a witness to that, and I appreciate you saying that because there's a saying that says those who study history are masters of the future, but those who
Yes,
study their own history are masters of their own future. And I think
yes.
history is very
I
important, and I
like that.
think
Yes.
I
Yeah.
recognize that. But let's talk about philosophy. Since
Okay.
you're a Texas cowboy philosopher, I like that about it because I witnessed when I was listening to your book, I learned a lot about some of these phrases that capture so much wisdom in them.
Yes.
And are you a student of philosophy?
I am not a formal student of philosophy, but I've read some from it.
Hmm.
Uh, what happened to me was the most unlikely thing that I could have imagined. I was I was sitting on a cabin porch one day, and a thought came to me just out of the blue. Your mind, the reveries of your mind, they just go everywhere. And I thought, when was the last time I heard someone referred to as wise?
Mm,
And I thought about that for a minute, and I thought, I don't remember the last time I heard someone referred to as wise. I don't remember that word ever being used like that. And I started asking people about it. And even when I would speak, I would ask people, when was the last time you heard someone referred to as wise? And they would all look at me and they had the same response I did. Uh, couldn't remember. And I thought, we're losing that word in our vocabulary.
mhm,
And this used to be an important thing. In the days of old, there were the wise men that
Mm-hmm.
sat at the gates of cities, and people, kings consulted, and rulers consulted. And now here we are. I realize we haven't just lost the word, we've lost the very concept of it. What does it even mean anymore? And I just kept thinking about this, and one thing just sort of led to another. And it brought me to a point where I don't know how much detail I should get into here. I told you my story could be a little long, but once I tell then I just open myself up. We'll talk about anything you want to.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that I was just kind of on to something, and I started thinking, and another thing occurred to me, and these are thoughts I can't even explain why I'm thinking about it, but I realized that there were, as a human being, four things that we all do all day long, every day.
Mm-hmm.
As long go back to Adam and Eve, as long as people have lived on this in this world, every last one of us has done four things all day long, every day. And I'd never heard anybody ever mention this before. It was like no one had ever thought of it. But it's
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, this just became so obvious to me. And I tried to think of a fifth one, but I wanted to keep it brief. And I realized everything I could think beyond the fourth one, in one way or another, directly or indirectly, was tied in with the four. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, what the first one was, we do things. You and me and everybody else we know, we do stuff all day long.
All day long.
All day long, we're doing stuff. And most of it's inconsequential, but every now and then we have to do something that's important. But we're doing stuff all day long. And then I realized we don't just do things, we say things. We talk all day long. From the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed, like some of us talk in our sleep, but we're talking all day long, every day. And the third thing was, we do things and we say things and we think things.
Mm.
Things go through our minds. And we again, some of it is not very important, but then some things that we do are very important. And the fourth one was, we feel things. We're emotional uh, people. We're emotional. We feel all, there's all kinds of emotions that take place all through the day. We're reacting to things on an emotional level. And when I started thinking about and got these things down, it all kind of came together. And,
Mm.
and I'm still not even understanding where this is coming from. But I thought a good question would be, if you were about to do something, what would be the wise thing to do?
That's a very good question.
And I mean, do we ever stop and think about, we're doing stuff all day long. How many times do we ever stop to think, what would be the wise thing to do under these circumstances? And then it all just started falling together. And I called these the four golden questions. What would
Mm.
be the wise thing to do? What would be the wise thing to say? We say some of the dumbest things and just speak without thinking, and say things that are contrary to our own interest, that are
Mhm.
insulting and offensive and hurtful to other people. Uh, Words are extremely powerful, and we
Mm-hmm.
all know this, but we give so little thought to what we actually are going to say to others. And then it just kept following. What would be the wise thing to do, to say, to think?
Mm-hmm.
What you can take control of your mind, and you can actually control your thoughts. And what's going on in your mind during the day has a lot to do with the kind of day that you're going to have. So you
Mm-hmm.
can give your mind over to thinking wisely about the different things. And then feeling is the same way. This internalizes it and spiritualizes it uh, when you think about it in that way. And I started. What happened to me was I was on LinkedIn, and when all of this started, I started doing little posts on LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
telling people, just kind of sharing my thoughts with them. And this gravitated into what I called Texas grit. And it, I wanted to keep it brief so people would read it, and it wouldn't. People are too verbose. They write too much, and people, they lose people.
Mm.
And so I wanted to keep it brief, and I started just these little gems. My kids, when they were growing up, called these things dad's sayings.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandkids called them, I called them, my grandkids, my cookie bandits. Cookie bandits called them grandpa's sayings. And my publisher, when she got the manuscript from my book, didn't know what to do with this. And she called it, uh, decided that we would call this uh, Texas grit.
Yes.
And that's what it became. And it was things like, well, my favorite one of all was wisdom will always be the first casualty of unrestrained behavior.
Mm.
And if you get that, if you ponder on it and get that, it gets you.
Mm.
And I never, I made a point, I never explain a Texas wisdom, a Texas grit saying. People will say, what are you talking about? What do you mean? The whole point and the whole purpose is not for me to tell somebody anything, but to make them think.
Mm.
You
I like
heard the
that.
saying, take it and let your mind go where it takes you, and let it become something that has meaning to you. I'm not going to tell you. If I tell you what I think, it's going to ruin everything for you. And I'm
Mm.
not going to do that to you. And so I just kept writing these things. Some of them I made humorous. One was never try to give a bobcat a belly rub if he doesn't want one. And
Will you mind tilt your camera a little bit so we can get a little bit more of your shoulder? Yeah.
this way,
There, right there. No, not too
right
much. A little
there.
bit up, a little bit up, a little bit. There we go. Right there. Perfect.
Okay, okay.
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
So I said, never try to give a bobcat a belly rub if he doesn't want one. Well, you have to see past the humor in that. What was I talking about? I mean, there's something beyond the silliness of what I said that is really can be quite profound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for you to think about it and to ponder on it. I always ended every Texas Grit saying with ponder on it, pilgrims. And I love you all. And life is a pilgrimage, and we're all in this pilgrimage together. And so I took to calling my folks that followed me pilgrims. And would everything I said, I'd tell them to ponder on it, pilgrims, and it became kind of a trademark with me. and I've had a lot of fun with this, to say the least. Another one I could name authors. I
There's one that you said that I really like. It's about the stoplight. It's like the smart person knows when to go on green, but a wise person knows when to go. Something like that. You remember that one?
Yes, sir. A wise person knows he can. It's legal. He can go when the light turns green. A wise person knows when he should.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yes, you can be in the right. You can be perfectly legal. The light's green and you can go, but you need to make sure all the rest of the cars have stopped before you,
Yes.
because they don't always. And it's just I almost got hit
Mm-hmm.
and involved in what could have been a very serious accident because I started just to go, and then I caught myself quickly, and there was a car going about 60 miles an hour blowing through that intersection. And if I hadn't have caught myself, I'd have pulled right out in front of it. And so it's dangerous out there. I
Mm-hmm.
tell people the earth is a dangerous place to live, and it and it truly is. But the life is there's dangers out there, and we need to learn from them and 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 pass the knowledge that we gain onto others.
Speaking of the earth, you said something in the book too that just got me thinking down a rabbit hole when it comes to the earth itself. And it's something in the way of like planet Earth it's like a spaceship going through space. And we
Yeah.
all on it for a ride. And I was thinking to myself, the only way on the spaceship is to the bird canal, but the only way off this spaceship is to the dead canal.
Yes.
And we are on this ship. We're going somewhere. We're going somewhere, but we're on this ship.
Yes. Yes. It's a journey. Life is a journey. It's a
Mm-hmm.
pilgrimage, and we're born into this world, and we're given life,
Mm-hmm.
and we live a lifetime, but all of us are destined to move beyond this life into another world,
Mm-hmm.
into another realm, another existence. And the way that we get to this new existence, the process of getting into this world is birth. The
Mm-hmm.
process that we all must go through to get out of it into the next and be born into our next reality is what we call death.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a kind of a skewed attitude. Uh, Death is no more than a birthing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's the way I look at it anyway, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how I've come to deal with it as I've gotten older. And it's not something to be feared. Uh, I kind of look on it with a curiosity in a
Mm-hmm.
way, and I know that it's coming, and everything that I've ever been taught and that I believe is that I'm going to be going to another place that is going to be infinitely better than where I live now. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to reconnect with old loved ones and even some of I think my ancestors that I've come to know. And it's just going to be it, it's going to be a great journey, and we're still and it goes on forever.
Mm. I'm looking forward to the other side of the life too. But until then, I'm gonna enjoy the one I have. To
Absolutely.
take
And
me
that's
back to the
what we're
current moment.
and we're intent that's what we're intended to do. Make the most of it, and be ready to move on to the next one.
Hmm. So what made you want to write this book? What made you want to write this book? What sparked it?
I had no intentions of writing a book at all when these
Hmm.
thoughts started occurring to me, and I started doing the Texas grit and writing about it. And people started saying, and this is all goes back to LinkedIn.
Hmm.
That was my world.
Hmm.
And people started saying, Mr. Charles, you need to write a book. And I I remember the first time I heard this, I told the man, I said, well, I'm pondering on it, which I really wasn't. But it was something to say. And I just told him, yeah, I'm pondering on it. And we moved on. But along the way, more and more and more and more people started writing and saying, Mr. Charles, you need to write a book.
Mm,
And I'd always say, well, I'm pondering on it. I just hadn't thought about it. And there was a man named Philip Reed, a young fella, wrote me one day on LinkedIn and he said, Mr. Charles, you need to write a book. And I
mm,
told him I'm pondering on it. You can find his name in the forward of my book. I mentioned him as the one. And I like to give credit where it's due. And I told him I was pondering on it. He wrote me back and he said, no, you're not getting this. He said, you need to write a book. And he set in on me and he wasn't taking no for an answer. And he just insisted, you've got to do this. And he said, I know a publisher.
mm,
And he gave me her name, Miss Hillary Jastrom from up in Minnesota. And he said, I'm going to put you two together and you need to write a book. I'm going to get you two talking. Well, the next thing I know, I'm talking to Miss Hillary. And after about an hour and a half conversation, I get off the phone and I'm writing a book.
mm,
And I just, and after I went to my LinkedIn audience and followers and told them that I was writing a book, and they asked me, I asked them, I said, you all have been such a part of this. What would be a good title for the book? I'm interested in your feedback on this, and I'm going to let you title the book, my
mm,
LinkedIn followers. And it was humorous. Every answer, every response was kind of like, duh, Mr. Charles, ponder on it, pilgrims. You know, I mean,
mm,
what else could it be? And like, how could you even ask? And so that's how the book got its name. My LinkedIn followers told me to name it Ponder on It Pilgrims. And so uh, I thought that that was fitting. And I built the book around that and the that people are just life is a pilgrimage and that's
mm,
that's what the book is all about, the pilgrimage we call life and living it in an honorable way and 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 as life should be lived and always be wise and think about how you interact with others. And so that's how it all came to be.
mm. It was beautifully rolled out, by the way. Maybe not even intended. It's like the demand was there, then you supplied the demand. The desire was there, like, oh, we want this. And you already built the audience. So when you package it, they was like, we're ready to eat the meal. You already been priming us. That was really awesome, by the way.
Yes, when the book came out,
Mm-hmm.
in less than 24 hours, it was a three-time #1
Mm,
bestseller.
mm,
And by the end of 48 hours, the second day, it had sold in over 20 different countries.
mm,
And the way I knew that was people were writing me, people that were buying the book, and they were telling me where they were from. And the book became a three-time #1 international bestseller that has sold in 27 different countries. It's
mm,
sold on every continent except Antarctica. And
Mm.
I tell people that I'm going to pack up one of these days and head to Antarctica with some books and find someone down there and give it to them if I have to. I want to add Antarctica to the list. And so I was astounded. I had no idea in this world that there
Mhm.
would be this kind of a response. And I still can't believe what's happened to me. I've been asked to speak. People have had me come and speak. All of this is on my website,
Mhm.
and I'm available for speaking engagements.
Mhm.
And uh, I haven't even gotten into this part, but it's not it's not really a part of the book. But my adult life began, I think, as you know, in the Marine Corps,
Mhm.
and I uh, served in the Marine Corps from 1965 to 1969. And uh, after that, I went to college on the GI Bill, and
Mhm.
I majored in classical Greek and Hebrew. And the reason I chose those majors was I wanted to be an archaeologist. And
Mhm.
I thought it would be a good idea to know these languages. And so I ended up never becoming an archaeologist. I didn't like the world of the archaeologist. I one of my big things is I insist on my right to do my own thinking, and you can't. I wasn't allowed to think. I was being indoctrinated, and I wasn't
Mhm.
allowed to do my own thinking. But I I uh, I just got my education, and people ask me sometimes, how in the world did you get such a worthless degree, something, so impractical? And I tell them, well, uh, I found that there was one big advantage to having a degree in Greek and Hebrew. And that I found over time that when people find out that that's what you majored in, they automatically assume that you were smart.
Mhm.
And I said, I realized I could work that for a while until people got me figured out. And so that's how I was able to turn it into an advantage. Uh,
Mhm.
but I ended up, I got out of college and became an entrepreneur and started businesses, and then finally retired when I was 72. And
Mhm.
then that's when I actually became an author, and I'll be 80 years old in March. So
Mhm.
life has marched on, and here I am still kicking. And
Still kicking.
uh, uh, I don't know when it's all going to end. It doesn't really matter. I'm just taking life a day at a time, and uh, I love to talk to people. Just have a chance to sit and talk to someone like you. I just love it, and to
Mhm.
share my thoughts and my story with you. And I love to talk to the kids and share with them things that I uh, feel are important that maybe I can be helpful to them with. Love to
Mhm.
speak on college campuses, and uh, I'm working with veterans now,
Mhm.
and I love these young veterans, and they're so nice to me. They treat me the way I treated the old World War II veterans, uh,
Mhm.
and and they're just so nice, and I just love being around them, uh, and kind of telling them again what I think about things. I've talked with people in prisons, in
Mhm.
jails, and just gone in and just leveled up with them, talk about life's big decisions. And some of y'all need to start making better decisions. I don't beat around the bush with them. I I always have been. I don't ignore the obvious when I
Mhm.
talk to people. I always felt like that would make them more uncomfortable than just being up front with it. If
Mm-hmm.
I see a man with only one arm, I don't pretend like I don't notice. I'll ask him, "Hey, what happened to your arm?" I said,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be a story there. And no, they don't mind. I've never once ever heard anybody offended. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times they're veterans. And then I can tell them, I wondered if maybe you were wounded. And I said, tell them I was a veteran. And it's always, and then you meet some really nice, interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
If I meet someone that has an accent that obviously isn't from Texas, uh, I I've noticed that in you, and I was going to get around to it. Uh, I'll ask. I met a guy one time who had this real thick, heavy British accent. I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
was so obvious that he did. And I'm talking to him, and I asked him. I said, "Where are you from?" And he looked at me and he said, "Well, I'm from Great Britain." And I said, "Well, I just kind of wondered, I could tell you weren't around here weren't from these parts." And I said, "I
Mm-hmm.
have a question I'd like to ask you." And he said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Did you learn to speak English over there, or have you picked it up since you came to the United States?" And he looked at me like, this has got to be the biggest moron I've ever met in my life. And I'm just straight faced and dog panned straight as I could be. And then it hit him. I could see on his face the moment that he actually got it, that this guy cannot possibly be that stupid. It's just not possible. And he laughed. He thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever heard in his life. And I'm sure I'm still talking about it, and he is too. But
Mm-hmm.
I said all that to say that when I'm talking to people, like when I'm talking to the people in jail, I don't pretend like they're not, that I don't know that they're in jail. I'm up right up. I just come right out with it, and we talk about it. And
Mm-hmm.
and and the response that I get is always so super positive. I don't condemn them. I don't judge them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, hey, look, you're in the jailhouse. I'm standing here. I know that, and we need to talk about making decisions, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to be here. And a lot, it's heartbreaking, but so many of the people in jails are former military, a lot of old Marines. And I said, "You jarheads." I said, "Come on, guys, get a grip, uh,
Mm-hmm.
come on. You've got a life before you here to live, and let's get it right here. Start thinking about you showing some wisdom
Mm-hmm.
in your decision making." Uh,
You
I feel
mentioned
like I'm just
March.
rambling. I need to shut up and let you
No,
talk.
no, you're giving me stories here. I like these stories. But you say, but coming up on your 80th birthday in March, because I was born in March too, so I'm a Pisces. I was born 15 March,
You were born on the 15th of March.
15 of March.
Well, do you know what time of day?
I was born in the morning. This is, you know what? This is the interesting question. I'll keep asking my mom because everybody got some that date on their birth certificate. I was born in Jamaica,
Uh-huh.
but in the morning, my mom don't know exactly what time because my birth certificate doesn't have it because I don't have our original birth certificate, so I don't know exactly what
Okay.
exact time. But
Well,
in the morning, March 15, 1980. Yes.
well, I was in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was born at uh, 22 after 1 in the afternoon
Mm-hmm.
on in 1946
Mm-hmm.
on the 15th of March. I tried to be as dramatic as I could be after you said the 15th of March. So I'm sitting here waiting my turn. But yes, sir, I was born on the 15th of March, the Ides of March. Uh, so I've had fun with that too. Uh,
Oh
oh,
no.
it's interesting. not often, but several times I've met people that are born on the 15th of March.
I
But
got a
you're a
birthday
much younger
twin.
man
I
than
got a
I am.
birthday twin.
And you're from Jamaica.
I'm
I
from
was going
Jamaica.
to ask, you don't have a Texas accent. And so, like I tell people, I told the English guy, I said, I could tell you weren't from these parts, you know. And he thought it was funny. But
Mm,
yeah, the 15th of March.
yeah,
You're
I got
gonna
a
have a
birthday
happy
twin.
birthday here in just no time.
Yes, yes, sir. So you're getting 80. So let me ask you, what's your big vision for the future, for your future? What's your big vision?
Vision,
Mm-hmm.
I want to I want to stay active.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I a part of this that I never thought of was that I could also be inspirational to people who are aging.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started all of this when I was 50 or 72 years old. And I wrote the book when I was 76, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote my first book when I was 76 and or 77. I can't remember exactly. I get confused sometimes with the dates.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell people, stay in the game. My
Mm-hmm.
goodness, you're still alive. Yeah, you're not the man. You may not be able to do all the things that you used to be able to do when you were younger, but you know things now, and you can compensate being a little wiser and along the way, and and find something that's meaningful for you to do. I don't know if you want to write a book or not. That's just what I did. But there's
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of ways that you can be an influence on other people. And I I like to talk to people and just, well, once I wrote the book, it became, I'm not a preacher,
Mm-hmm.
but I am a believer, and I don't make any bones about it. I'm a God-fearing Christian man. That's my faith, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe in Jesus and that He's the Son of God and died for my sins. I believe this, but I just try to tell people I want to. Someone told me one time. He said, "Charles, I finally figured you out." He said, "It's been bothering me for a long time." And he said, "I got it." He said, "Everything you say is biblical principles." But he said, "You figured out a way to say it without sounding preachy."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Brother, that's a gift."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about that, and I realized he was right. I didn't want to come across as preachy intentionally, although it wasn't a big thing with me. I just wanted to talk about wisdom and knowledge and understanding. I wanted to talk about the four golden questions
Mm-hmm.
and reach people uh, and give them something that would make their lives a little better. Uh, when I when I started thinking like this, there's spiritual things started occurring to me.
Mm-hmm.
We we are spirit, we are spirits, and our we're connected to a spiritual world. And I would talk to people about the voice, the inner voice that's within all of us. And I talk to, like when I'm talking to prisoners, I bring this up. When I'm talking to anybody, I'll ask people, have you ever in your life ever had this little voice just kind of make you pause and tell you, don't do that. Have you ever heard that little voice telling you not to do something? Have you ever heard that little voice telling you, no, you need to do this. You know
Mm-hmm.
you need to do this. Do it. And everybody always, they're sitting there shaking their heads. Everybody has experienced that. And I say, do you know what that little voice is? It's the Spirit of God speaking to you through your spirit. There's a connection there. Wisdom comes from God. It doesn't come from man. It doesn't come from philosophers and different people. Uh, true wisdom comes from God. And if you're attuned to it, you hear it. It comes
Mm-hmm.
to you. That little voice will speak to you as it has already has in life, and it will continue to speak to you if you just listen and keep yourself attuned to it. And this changed my whole life. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, all of these thoughts are coming to me as an old man, and I thought, where have I been? You know, why did I? But I felt like God. So I lived my life and all the things that I experienced, and the grief and the heartache and
Mm-hmm.
pain and things uh, that I went through. Literally years of grieving over
Mm-hmm.
things that I and seeking answers to questions that had no answers, uh, and the torment. All of a sudden, this all fell away, and I started becoming a man of understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like that there was something providential about the work that I felt called to do. And one of the things, as you can gather, and it made me very emotional in my old age. I started getting, and I get up and start talking to people, and I get emotional, and I tell them, I said, folks, I can't help it. I just I can't. When I talk about these things, it just humbles me to think about it, and it's hard for me to not be emotional about it. And you're just going to have to bear with me, and I but I feel like that I'm having uh, an impact in the lives of people uh, that will listen, and at 80 years old, that's what my life is all about. And if I'm still alive when I'm 90, I'm still going to be looking for someone to talk to and maybe say something that'll be helpful to them.
Mm. You know, I've been, because since I retired from the military, something that I would say I'm privileged to start recognizing is start quieting, because my head was very noisy too. It's trying to recognize that voice you talked about.
Uh-huh.
If you're in a noisy state, a noisy word, it's very hard to tell what that voice is. But after I retire and have some time to slow it down and pause, I can tell, that's the voice.
Yes.
And a lot of people have a difficult time figuring out what is that voice? Like, what does it
Yes.
sound like?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Uh, but what amazed me was everybody has experienced this.
Mm-hmm.
You can ask a crowd of thousands of people. I say to them, I said, this is a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer out loud. Answer to yourself. How many of you have ever heard that little inner voice that's
Mm-hmm.
guided you and told you to do or not to do certain things? And everybody just sits and shakes their heads. It's a part of our nature. And
Mhm.
it can't be understood any other way than a spiritual experience. And the scriptures teach us that the Spirit is given to us to comfort us and to be with us now at this time. And so I don't make, I just have my own way of talking about these things and teaching it to people. But people figured me out. They got where I was going with this.
Mm. Wow. I really truly enjoyed your book. I did.
Well, thank you.
It took me what? It was like a 4 hour long book almost. And I started listening to it again the second time around. I was like, this is so
Uh-huh.
good. I'm taking so many notes. Like I've been writing those so many different things down. So I love to come into people space where they're very wise. They've captured words that have captured so much wisdom in just a short sentence. And you put
Yeah,
a lot of that inside of your book, and I really enjoyed it.
right, right.
Yes.
I realized that I wanted to keep the book short,
Hmm.
and I intentionally wanted to speak simply. I think some authors are more concerned about impressing me with their vocabulary than they are with what they're trying to say. And the youngest person that I know of that's read my book is 12 years old,
Hmm.
and the oldest is 86. And the boy that was 12, his grandmother got him the book, and he was reading it. And it was taking him forever to read the book. And she asked him finally about it. She says, "It's taking you so long to read the book. Why, why is it taking you so long?" And he said, "I don't want it to end." And he said, "I keep going back and rereading things." He said, I don't want it to end. And I that brought,
Hmm.
I mean, I teared up when I heard that.
Yes.
I mean, this boy, and then here's this old guy older than me. He's also read it. And so it told me that people of all ages, and I have people with PhDs
Hmm.
that follow me on LinkedIn who have read this book. People with degrees in philosophy have read this book and talked to me and said, "Charles, I'm a student of philosophy. I studied it in college, and I've never heard anything like this before in my life." He said, "I've never heard anything like this." And he said, "I've been thinking about this sort of thing all my life, and I've never heard anything like it." And all of that has just been so humbling to me. Uh, but it all started with just uh, people telling me I needed to write a book, and the little golden questions and the things that were crossing my mind that I wanted to pass on with it to other people. It's been a phenomenal journey, and I think that as I was telling, if you're still alive, find something meaningful to do, and all we all have something to give back, and find out what that is for you.
Hmm. Charles, this conversation has been very meaningful to me, and I feel like we should share it if you're okay with it. This
Well,
conversation.
yes, sir. I was wondering what I you just I didn't know you, and you wrote me, and we hadn't met before, and uh, I was honored that you wanted to talk. And of course, I get people that'll call me, and they want to, and I set up calls with them. I enjoy this,
Hmm.
but uh, you seemed to be had a little bit of an agenda. I thought you were uh, someone who was genuinely interested in wisdom and the things evidently that you'd been hearing about what I was doing. And are you writing a book, or uh, are you a public speaker? And if so, I sincerely hope that I've been helpful to you.
Oh, yes, you have a lot, a lot. So this is my story. So I retired from the military and I started writing my own stories. I published like 7 books, but my goal is to write 86 books by my 86th birthday. So I'm
Wow,
practicing until I write a good book. And I'm like, I want to write me a book as good as your book, because your book
you're an
felt
author.
like, yeah,
Wow,
your book felt like reading the Bible, so to speak. There's wisdom in it, right? That little kid said, "Oh, I didn't want to put it down, I didn't want to end because it has so much wisdom in it." So I recognized that, and I was like, "Yeah, I want to connect." So, but this is good.
wow. Well, I'm honored. I'm honored. You're a real author. I wrote a second book, and it's in the publisher's hands now. They're working with
Mhm.
it, and the title of it is Texas Grit. And it's a Texas Grit saying, one for every day of the year. There's 365 Texas Grit sayings in this book, and they're talking about maybe making it a calendar, a desktop calendar that are also putting it in the form of a book. But uh, I started writing a third book, but I uh, have a long way to go on it. It's a uh, totally different than the first two would be, and it's things about my interest that go back to archaeology. I'm going to give some
Mhm.
thoughts about that and history more than philosophy, but we'll see how it goes.
Yes, I think you got a lot of books in you, Charles. A lot of books in you. I mainly focus on memoirs because I just love people history, people's
Uh-huh.
story. So I focus on that. But yeah, totally.
You're writing about people's stories.
Yes, yes, I do memoirs. Yes, I help people
Okay.
write their stories. I'm
Okay.
working on mine. Yeah.
That's sort of what I understood. My son, in fact, I was asking me about it. I was telling him that I was going to be talking to you, and I said, it sounds like he's someone that he talks to people and gets their stories, and then he writes about their story. And I said, that's kind of what I've gotten from what I've heard. And so that was correct. Well, I'm
Mm.
honored to be one of those people. I truly am.
Yes. Here's something else up to, because I normally do like a newsletter, but I was thinking sharing this conversation in my newsletter. Would that be okay
Of
if I do that?
course. Sure.
Okay. All
And
right.
reference, let me know about it so I can be sure and see it when it comes out.
Yes, I will. I will set it up. I will show it to you, and then I will organize. I'm gonna go find your book on Amazon so I can link it also in there and everything like that too. So
Oh, appreciate that.
yes,
Appreciate
yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, there goes my time. An alarm. Okay, Charles, this was a pleasure listening
Well,
to your
I
story, and I
enjoyed
hope
it.
hope you stay connected so we can chat some more.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Let's not be strangers.
Let's not be strangers. Let's not be strangers.
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right, Charles. Make it an utterly fantastic day. Until next time.
Yes, sir. Have a day of wonder, as I tell people.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.